My fiance's mother said I'd never be good enough for her daughter. I smiled and said nothing. At the rehearsal dinner, her father stood up to make a toast, and her mother's face went pale when he revealed what I'd actually done for their family when they'd lost everything and made him promise never to tell. The first time I met Victoria's mother, Margaret, she looked me up and down like I was something stuck to her shoe. We were at their country club. I'd driven straight from my construction site, still had dust on my boots. Her fiancé, Victoria, said nervously. Margaret's smile was ice. How nice. What is it you do again? I'm a project manager for construction. She sipped her martini. Construction. The word dripped with contempt. Victoria works in finance. She needs someone who can match her ambitions. I smiled politely and said nothing. Over the next year, Margaret never missed a chance to remind me I wasn't enough. At family dinners, she'd mentioned Victoria's ex-boyfriend who became a surgeon. At holidays, she'd talk about how disappointed she was that Victoria settled. The worst was when Victoria got promoted. Margaret hugged her, then looked directly at me. Thank God she has her father's brains. She won't need to rely on anyone. Victoria would defend me later in private, but never in the moment. It's just how she is. Please don't make waves. I never did. I just kept showing up, kept smiling, kept saying nothing. Then last March, Victoria's father called me. His voice shook. We're in trouble, bad trouble. Their investment firm had collapsed. Ponzi scheme. They'd lost everything. The house, the country club membership, the cars, all gone. They had 60 days before foreclosure. I'm asking for help. Margaret doesn't know I'm calling you. She'd rather lose everything than ask. How much do you need? $200,000 to clear the liens and keep the house. I'll get back to you tomorrow. That night, I liquidated my retirement accounts, took out a second mortgage, cashed in bonds my grandmother left me. I've been saving for our wedding, for our future. Instead, I wired 200 grand to Victoria's father the next morning on one condition. Margaret can never know it came from me. Tell her it was an old business contact. A loan, anything but never me. He agreed. Why are you doing this? Because I love your daughter and despite everything, you're her family. Victoria's parents kept their house. Margaret told everyone they'd gotten a loan from an old colleague in Singapore. She went back to her passive-aggressive comments about my work boots and my truck. You'd think Victoria would want someone more refined by now. I smiled and said nothing. The wedding approached. At the rehearsal dinner, 100 guests filled the ballroom. Margaret gave a speech about how she'd always dreamed Victoria would marry someone extraordinary, someone special. She paused, looked at me. We don't always get what we dream of, but we learn to accept what we're given. Polite laughter rippled through the room. Victoria squeezed my hand under the table, apologizing with her eyes. Then her father stood up. His hands trembled as he gripped his champagne glass. I need to say something, Margaret. 18 months ago, we lost everything. You remember we were days from losing this family's home, our entire life. You remember that loan that saved us? Margaret nodded, confused. Of course, your old colleague from Singapore. He took a long breath. There was no colleague. The money came from him. He pointed at me. The room went silent. Margaret's face drained of color. What? $200,000. He liquidated his retirement, mortgaged his future, gave up his savings. He did it on one condition that you never know. That he get no credit, no thanks, nothing. He saved this family and asked for silence because he knew your pride would never accept help from someone you deemed not good enough. Margaret's champagne glass slipped from her fingers, shattering on the floor. Victoria turned to me, tears streaming. You never told me. You asked me not to. I wanted to protect your relationship with your mom. Margaret stood shakily. Why would you? Because I love your daughter and sometimes you help people even when they're told you'll never be good enough. The room erupted in applause. Margaret walked toward me, tears streaming, and reached for my hands. I've been unforgivably cruel. I'm so sorry. The wedding the next day was perfect, but nothing topped watching Margaret's face that night when everything she believed shattered. I wanted to see that for ages because